Ladies and gentlemen, please. I know a lot of people are still eating, but we'll go ahead and kind of get started on this. Please enjoy your meals. We'll keep it going so that we don't get to running late. We've got an important cocktail hour coming up this evening, and I don't want to be late for it. Every year, PLC is proud to join our partner BLM in presenting Stewardship Awards that recognize ranchers for doing outstanding work and make outstanding investments in the landscape. This year, we're pleased to welcome the Forest Service to join and issue some awards for their people. We had some conversations a while back on one of my trips, and they asked, if it felt like PLC was a good place for the Forest Service to do this award. I said, I can't understand why you haven't done it already. This is the perfect place. With that, I'd like to first introduce and welcome David Jenkins from the Bureau of Land Management to the stage to present awards.
Thank you. Thank you, Nels. Thank you, Nels. Hi, everybody. And welcome. This is one of the pleasures in my life is giving out awards. As I was joking with my table mates, I give out awards and then nobody's going to ask me a question about grazing or timber or wild horse and burros or whatever else. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about what I do. I'm David Jenkins. I'm the Assistant Director for Resources and Planning. So I have national responsibilities for grazing, for timber, for invasive species. Cheatgrass is at the top of my list. We've got a programmatic environmental impact statement going right now on herbicides, so we hope to have that resolved in the near future. Habitat integrity is part of my world generally. And within that, wildlife from pollinators to big game corridors. The Wild Horse and Burro program is in my portfolio, restoration, science integration, and abandoned mine lands and cleaning them up, air monitoring, and then NEPA and planning. So it is a pretty large portfolio that I've tried to manage. All of them, it seems to me, are founded on land health. And part of what we were talking about this morning is land health. And when I think about land health, I think about local peoples. And to my way of thinking, local folks are the key to land health. So I'm really happy to hear you all talking about how to integrate the local concerns with the county concerns, with the state concerns. I'm glad the governor was here, and with national concerns. And Undersecretary Bonnie was telling you some of the national concerns. And part of what I see my job as doing is to sort of mediate between the federal system and local folks. And let me tell you a little bit why I find that so important. By training and inclination, I'm an anthropologist. I joined the federal system about 12 years ago. Before that, I taught for many years, and I conducted research across the planet in India and China and Japan and Peru, some in Canada. And one of the things that struck me through doing research over a couple of decades is that local people are the key to local issues. Doesn't matter which country you're in, local people are the key. So this is part of what I try to, that idea is what I try to infuse my staff at a national level to ensure that we think about local people. So the themes from this morning: local involvement, cooperation, co-stewardship, voluntary involvement, collaboration, and Bonnie talked about durable conservation models, bottom-up and incentive-based, all of which I think are really key for what we're doing. So with that said, thank you for the invitation. I'm honored to be part of this ceremony. I want to recognize the stewardship and hard work of our awardees today. And last year I helped present virtually from my national office in Grand Junction, and I'm just tickled to be here that COVID now is abating and we can meet as a group and actually meet in a more human face-to-face context. I'm excited and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to present in person this year and to join so many of you here in Cody, where actually I've spent a lot of time. I'm from Utah. The West is how I identify myself as a Westerner. So these awards are presented annually to recognize outstanding accomplishments of grazing permittees and collaborative teams involved in public rangeland management. This is the 17th year the BLM has considered nominations for these awards, recognizing genuine innovation and recognizing extraordinary cooperation needed to restore and protect the Great American West. We appreciate the exemplary stewardship accomplishments of the awardees and our partners, leading efforts to support locally led and locally designed conservation. As I noted, to my way of thinking, local involvement is always the key. Today's exciting for us as we have two awards to present to very deserving recipients, one from New Mexico and the other from Montana. Representatives of both recipients and the field offices who nominated are also here today. So I'd like to announce this year's recipients. The 2022 Rangeland Stewardship Award is presented to Charles Hibner, New Mexico. Charles was nominated by the Taos Field Office, BLM New Mexico, and Pamela Mathis, the field manager for the Taos office, will share some of his accomplishments. Pamela, can you help us here? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Team Taos is thrilled to have nominated Charles and wife Verna, and they are a team. Mr. Hibner is a retired soil conservationist with the Department of Agriculture's NRCS, and he has been a BLM permittee since he took over his father's ranch in Cebolla, and that was in the 70s. Now he grazes 4 allotments that cover 6,700 acres, and he has another 4,000 acres on private land. This is a very ecologically diverse area. And what is also particularly important is it has a number of federal designations. We have the Rio Chama Wild and Scenic River that is part of his allotment. We have the Rio Chama Wilderness Study Area, and also the Chama Canyons ACEC, or Area of Environmental Critical Concern. So these areas are dominated by western wheatgrass and crested wheatgrass, blue grama, and sagebrush. And he employs a holistic, high intensity, short duration for his grazing rotation. So in other words, Charles is moving cattle a lot. Charles and his dog, Precious. Verna named Precious. So yeah, we learned about moving cattle and Precious last night. So he has worked very many years to reestablish native grasses, to control the noxious weeds, and he's developed a lot of water developments that benefit the resident elk that are in the area. And he has many pictures of the elk as well. So in 2019, our assessment at BLM found all 4 of his allotments do in fact meet the land health standards. He works with many groups to reduce the tension of this patchwork of ownership between private, state, BLM, Forest Service. And you saw a picture of him a few minutes ago with a mic in his hand and a PA system. Yes, he was out giving presentations in the middle of the allotment. In fact, every summer, Charles invites all of these groups from the Upper Chama Soil Water Conservation District, NRCS, Forest Service, BLM, a number of the soil working groups that are in fact local. And they all come out to the ranch and he shows them all of the science soil that he has been working on and how his vegetation treatments benefit our resources. And he emphasizes the importance of managing livestock based on the current and the predicted environments, and exactly why healthy soils are so important to the ranch industry and to our public lands, and why it is so critical for this success. So if you could join me up here, please, Charles. He was passionate to return to the ranch where he grew up after retirement and work that ranch. And he is a passionate rancher and very passionate about healthy lands. He values public lands. And Charles, we value you. Thank you.
I am very honored to be able to receive this, but also very humbled because I know there's a lot of good ranchers out there that deserve it as much or more than me. And maybe they will get recognized in the future. But I'd be amiss if I didn't point out my wife, Verna. She's taking a picture of me now. We're a team, and so the things wouldn't be possible without her help too. And also a lot of help from a partner, NRCS. NRCS now is partnering a lot with both Forest Service and BLM in using the EQUIP program to help offset the cost of doing these improvements on land. There's nothing more important as a soil scientist than keeping that soil in place. And the best way to do it is with a good stand of grass on the surface. We've done numerous range improvements, but also some forest land improvements too, where we've done tree thinning and lop and scatter. And it's phenomenal, the grass that's coming in those areas also. Thank you so much for this award. I appreciate it very, very greatly. Thank you.
And Charles, we have you to thank, really, and we've got a small award for you. The Rangeland Stewardship Award for 2022 for Charles and Verna as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So congratulations again to Charles Hibner and all the amazing work he's done in New Mexico. And our thanks and gratitude goes out as well to the Taos Field Office and BLM New Mexico teams for nominating Charles for this well-deserved recognition and award. Next, we have the 2022 Sagebrush Step Stewardship Award to the Cedar Creek Grazing Association in Montana. The Cedar Creek Grazing Association was nominated by the Miles City Field Office, BLM Montana Dakotas, and is represented today by its president, Bill Rabine. There's Bill over there, and Ryer Renz, supervisory rangeland management specialist of the field office, will describe some of the association's accomplishments. Ryer, could you come up? Thanks.
All right, appreciate y'all having us up here. I'll run through a few notes that I've got for kind of describing where Cedar Creek Grazing Association is, kind of the country they run on. And then finish with a few notes on kind of the reason why we nominated them, a few high points there. So Cedar Creek Grazing Association was established in 1967. They're on the Cedar Creek Grazing Cedar Creek allotment. It's an allotment management plan since 1971. There'll be a map up here in just a minute, but it covers about 14,000 acres of BLM. There's about 2,200 acres of private in the allotment boundary. This map shows a bunch of private land to the north of the grazing allotments, about 22,000 acres that they also run on. And I think there's about 3 state sections in there too. So they cover quite a bit of ground. The piece of BLM is about 7,500 acres, or no, it contains about 7,500 acres of crucial mule deer winter range. Keep going a little bit. The association itself has about 20 members. It's managed by a board. Key to their management is a very experienced ranch manager. He is always out there, very active and very, very communicative with us and with the board. And that's been a big key to our working relationship the last number of years. One of the main reasons, or there's a number of reasons why we nominated them, but one of the things that really struck out to me, especially the last couple of years, is their stance on drought and drought management. Last year was a horrible widespread drought. It's probably the worst we've had in eastern Montana in many, many years. We have drought, but it was so widespread. It was really notable last year. And for the last 2 years, they voluntarily reduced their stocking by about 30%. In addition to just really adjusting their pasture moves and working with us. Let's see. That is one of the big factors why I really push a nomination for them. They've done a lot of other things over the years. They're very active with their weeds, putting out spurge beetles. They have an active spraying program. They've done a number of riparian area plantings, put up some excluders, those kinds of things over the years. And probably the last 3-4 years, we've been working on a number of fishing reservoirs out there. We've rebuilt 2 of them, which is really important to the communities around there. Glendive is just off the map to the north. It's a city about 5,000 people. There's an active OHV area that's just on the northern boundary of them, so it receives a lot of activity that way. And the Cedar Creek anticline oil and gas field also, they're on the north end of that, so that comes up into the BLM on the south. So there's a lot going on out there. And you know, with all of that activity out there, of course, weeds is a big one, but just their overall stewardship has really improved the health of that land out there too. In about 2000, I think it was first assessed for land health standards, and it did not meet all of them. And since then, we've reassessed it, I think last time in 2017, and it was then meeting standards. And it's because of their real proactive and responsive grazing management out there. They've been flexible. They've been patient with BLM as we've worked with them on a lot of projects and revising grazing management out there for them. So that's the quick and short of it. I could go on a long time about just working with these guys and how engaged they are and inviting us to their meetings and working with their ranch manager. But the work they have done out there is remarkable out there. The sagebrush steppe part of it, it's in sage grouse general habitat, but there's about 5 sharp-tailed grouse leks within the allotment itself too. So it's a real mixed landscape out there with a lot going on, but the proactive management of the Grazing Association is really remarkable, and it's been really great to work with those guys the last number of years. So, why don't you come on up, Bill?
Well, excuse me. Thank you very much, Ryer. This hit us by complete surprise. I didn't realize BLM had even submitted our name into this. I don't know, competition, I guess. There's an old saying out there that comes from a lot of the old timers that says always better to ask for permission or ask for forgiveness rather than permission. And contrary to that, we've worked very closely with our range con, Merle Blankenship, out of the Miles City office. And we've, worked with a lot of his suggestions. We've worked with him on water development programs, and he's done a lot to push our programs that we've had in the works for over 10 years. So with that said, I really appreciate receiving the award. It's an honor for me to be here. So thank you.
BLM also has a small token of appreciation, the Sagebrush Steppe Stewardship Award in this plaque for 2022. Thank you, Bill. So, congratulations again to Bill and to Charles, and I encourage you all, if you have a chance through the course of the next day or two, to congratulate them and talk to them about their successes. This is part of how we all learn from one another when we understand how well we're all doing. And I'm going to be around for the next day and a half, so if you actually have questions for me, seek me out too, and I'm happy to talk to all of you. So again, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
So congratulations to all the BLM awardees on these well-deserved recognitions. And now I'm happy to invite the Forest Service to the stage for their presentations. So could Jerry Proctor, Eric Davis, and Dwayne Rice come on up? You're first, Eric. All right.
Who will I pass it to? I'll just say something about the Forest Service.
Okay.
And then you- and then you-
6 minutes.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Davis, and David talked about how he got to go around the world. David, you got to go to nicer places. I was on the first plane into Mogadishu and the last battalion commander in Iraq. So I am jealous of you getting to go to Peru and Canada, and places like that. The U.S. Forest Service manages 193 million acres, half of which is rangelands, and 154 national forests, 21 national grasslands, and some national recreation areas, and even a national historic site. But that management of the 100 million acres of rangelands couldn't be done without your help. So thank you all. And then without further ado, I will pass it on to Jerry.
So I'm short on this. But I do appreciate being here to present these awards. Actually, how this came about was I was looking for a venue or someplace to be able to give these awards to this partner. And I ended up calling Dennis' son and asking him if we could do it at the Wyoming State Fair or something like that. And he passed me to Jim Magagna. And then Jim called me back and said, I got a really good place for you to do this. I think you should do this here. And so really appreciate being here and thank you for that. Because we are, this award is for the Outstanding Rangeland Management Partner, and this is for within the whole Forest Service agency. This award is for external partners who have worked closely with our field and district offices to bring positive change to rangelands. The recipient of this award will be selected based on their demonstrated commitment to resource stewardship and collaborative efforts. And so the recipient of this award meets all of these criteria and then some. Our winner is the Thunder Basin Grasslands Prairie Ecosystem Association. That's kind of a mouthful. Locally, we call them TBUGP. On that, you talk about an acronym for that, but people are always going, tell me who they are again. The TBUGP is a collaborative initiative of ranchers and energy production companies that was established in 1999. The landscape that they work within includes 533 acres of the Thunder Basin National Grassland, which is National Forest System lands, but they also work across all ownership and boundaries. They work on private land, they work with state, and they work with BLM. So not just Forest Service, they truly are an association of local landowners that have gotten together to try to work to make the resource better for that. In recent years, various controversies have emerged about grazing practices, energy development, prairie dog management, listing of potentially endangered wildlife species, and changes in land uses. TBUGP recognized the importance of maintaining and enhancing the economic and ecological values of the Thunder Basin National Grassland as an ongoing challenge to its residents and national and international stakeholders. TBUGP is committed to balancing the various interests while making sound policy and management decisions based on current and local scientific information. So what TBUGP has done is they initiated and completed assessments resulting in comprehensive conservation strategy. This includes a candidate conservation agreement with assurances, candidate conservation agreement, and conservation agreements for 2 different ecosystems, including 8 sensitive species. The assessment provided sagebrush mapping for a large portion of the Thunder Basin National Grassland and developed in partnership with the Forest Service sagebrush monitoring protocols. They also played a vital role in the collaborative efforts resulting in the 2020 Grassland Plan Amendment. They convened partners that provided funding and labor leading to prairie dog colony mapping and protocol development. Bugby led a pioneering approach to mapping prairie dog colonies and protocol development to provide vital data for implementing management on the ground. As a partner with the Forest Service and private landowners, Bugby participated in the Wyoming Department of Agriculture 5-year invasive species treatment and identified and helped treat these treat acres. We treated cheatgrass, Russian olive, salt cedar, and poison hemlock for that. In 2014, Bugby initiated a research initiative group to promote research projects on the Eastern Wyoming landscape and to provide data to assist in grassland management decisions. The research provided location-specific information for the Forest Service analysis again in the 2020 Grassland Plan Amendment effort. Currently, Bugby is directly involved in 6 primary research projects conducting field work in 2022, including a grant-funded rangeland drought resilience project, sagebrush fire effects, and a cattle prairie dog interaction study. Bugby is a significant rangeland management partner to the Forest Service and to the Eastern Wyoming grasslands. Their ability to support applicable research, initiate conservation practices, as well as bring diverse groups to the table to discuss contentious issues and facilitate collaboration makes good things happen on the ground. And I will say, I am currently the Forest Range Program Manager for the Medicine Bow Route Thunder Basin National Grassland. First worked with Bugby though as the District Range Program Manager, and they get things done on the ground. When the Forest Service is stalled, we've talked about that, where we felt like we couldn't move forward. Bugby was more than willing to step in and say, what do you guys need? They brought researchers in, and the researchers came to us and said, what do you guys need to make management on the ground work? And I tell you, I just don't think the Thunder Basin grassland would be in the shape that it's in without this association that's willing to work. And what is so very good about this is they are grassroots. They are the people on the ground. They're the people that live out there, work out there, make their living on the ground. And they're working with everybody across the board to make it a good working lands situation. So would you guys please come up here? So we have Frank E. Thorne is the president of the board, correct? And John Reilly is a board member, and Dave Pellets is the executive director. So he kind of wears a couple of hats, so I always have to make sure I get his title right. So again, thank you from the Forest Service for all of your work, and we appreciate you guys.
Short speech, yes. We appreciate the recognition by the Forest Service for the work we've been doing out there. This organization actually started in 1999. We were there was a petition out to list the black-tailed prairie dog, and we were concerned, didn't want that to happen, obviously, because it would affect our ranching operations. And so a group of us got together and said, what are we going to do? Because we need hard facts and figures to fight these listings. So we decided to form the group and hire a consultant and proceed with documenting the resources that were out there. And fortunately for us, the prairie dog listing went away at that time, but we're ready if it comes back. And in the meantime, we found lots of things we can do with this data that we've been developing over the years. So we appreciate the Forest Service working with us in that area too. Thank you very much.
Certainly congratulations to all the awardees. It's well deserving. I'm so proud to have you all here and share in your gifts here. Well deserved efforts. Just a reminder for everybody, we'll be going into some more committee meetings this afternoon, starting at 2 o'clock to 3:25. Industry issues will be in the Taggart 1. Wildlife is in Taggart 2 and 3. And at the conclusion of the meeting, we'll meet back here in the ballroom, 3:45, to hear from the BLM liaison, ranching liaison, to talk about grazing, carbon markets, and other opportunities. With that, we'll close up here and we'll see you later.